Hello, my name is Rudiger Moersch, and I'm the producer for RaiderZ at Frogster in Germany. So I'm actually responsible to get this awesome game to Europe.
Sounds fair enough. I was going to say, with RaiderZ, it's mainly it's an MMO, but it's monster hunting is the main focus. So what's the sort of the gist of the story behind the entire franchise?
Basically, you have a planet with, of course, a long and a fruitful history, and you have some different kingdoms and different races, like we are basically all used to in MMOs. No, but in this time, it's a little bit different because, a couple of years ago, there was this huge meteor that basically slammed into the Limos Desert. No, and then first they went there and then they explored it and found out, yeah, it's great stuff in there that can transform material, and they used it to create awesome weapons that made them more powerful than their neighbors. But what they didn't realize is that this transformation process actually occurs also by itself. So you're sitting there, you have this huge material in there, this meteor, and slowly everything is creeping and changing, and then the monsters turn up, and the environment changes, and then the dead come back to life, something like this.
Oh, okay. So does that mean that the actual game world itself will change as you play through it as well, or is that more fixed and things will come in through it?
It is a bit more fixed at the moment.
Yeah.
You are basically 5 years after the meteor crashed,
Yeah.
and they found out now that there is something going wrong. So the king actually ordered, for example, to build this huge wall to contain it, but it didn't work, of course.
Fair.
No, of course not. And then the players are going in and are basically the heroes. They have to go around and to kill the monsters and try, to save the people.
Oh, okay. So how large is the sort of the playable area? How many people can you expect to be playing with on each server?
On the server, actually, we are at the moment going for something like 5,000.
Oh, wow. So
Per
big playable areas, and that I'm assuming you
Yes.
can team up together and take down very big monsters.
That's one of the main things you have to do. You see, of course, we are trying also to give some possibilities to the single players, so that they have a chance. We all know that sometimes you don't have actually the time to go in with your group and then to get them all together to fight a monster. So we are trying to improve the single player options quite a bit at the moment. I just came back from Korea and talked. This was one of the topics I talked to the developers about, and they are very open to it. No, but for the big monsters like him here, for example, our lovely Ziggy with the nice smile, now you need a couple of people to do that.
Yeah.
Just to give you an impression, when he's standing in front of you, your character is just barely high enough to look over his toenail.
Oh, okay. So yes, so it's definitely a big scale game then.
It is, yes, it is. In more than one sense. Now, the other sense is that you normally have, for example, what I absolutely like about the game is, you have tons of mobs, of course. Now you're going around and you're killing mobs the normal way. But every once in a while, you're walking by, and then suddenly something happens. You're just confused. What's going on for the first time? So the first time I was walking around, I saw this earth-shaking, blurring effect, and I said, "Huh? I'm not close to one of the big ones. What's happening here?" So I turned around and then had a look, and I saw in the far distance, one of the boss monsters is basically a frog. Then he was jumping up high in the sky. This is one of his moves.
Oh wow.
So I was sitting there saying, okay, someone's fighting him. And you could see that basically over the whole map.
So yeah, well, literally what you can see, you can go to, and straight away
Yes.
just involved and get involved.
Correct, yeah. You can just go over and help your colleague, or just sit there and enjoy the show.
Watch them get mauled by something.
Correct.
With the monster design, where did the influences come from? Were you influenced by other games in sort of like fantasy art, like lore and stuff?
Yeah, actually, that would be a question that you ask the developer, not a
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
producer here in Germany. But I know that in Korea, the guys had looked a little bit apart. If you see some of the design artworks, you see that they look deep into nature and they draw a lot of there. For example, I just mentioned the frog.
Yeah,
That's basically actually is a lizard because he has a tail, so it's not a frog at all. But he looks like a frog.
Yeah. Well, that's not cool.
No, and then they went in there and they took basically a normal bullfrog, and then they were playing around with the designs and then trying to come up with something that looks awesome, but
Yeah.
still believable, as if something has basically turned this little nice froggy into really an awesome monster.
Yeah.
No,
Like
that
you say,
was
going back to the whole evolving thing essentially.
correct. Yeah. No, so they really spent a lot of thoughts on that one.
Oh, okay. Good. With the gameplay, it's very action oriented.
Mhm.
Is that obviously it's a conscious decision? But how come you decided? Do you know why they went for that instead of a turn-based approach that you find other?
I think actually they decided for this way because the turn-based approach you have so many games out there that is basically in this direction. Now, and then I must personally say that I got a little bit bored with that.
Yeah, also we played the old tester a little bit earlier, and it was much more fun to have the action oriented. You're more involved. You're always interested.
No, here you really have to get involved. You have to do something for yourself. There is no bot that you can switch on and say, okay, tomorrow come back and have 100,000 mobs killed.
Yeah,
that's not possible. No, you have to do it yourself.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good gameplay. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Is PvP also going to be involved? Do you know?
Already is.
Oh, already.
Now, so at the moment we have two different PvP systems in there. One is a duel system, so you can challenge your fellow players to a duel. The other thing is PvP areas at the moment. And so, for example, when you go a little bit along the game, there's an area called Mount Adder. And in Mount Adder you have a huge area that's PvP. And as you can go in, you can just have some nice fights against your fellow players. Or, for example, there are also some PvP quests that are coming. Like, for example, the easiest way is you have a high priest, you have to escort him. One group has to escort him from point I to point Z. And the other group has, of course, to fight them and try to kill the high priest. No, but there is more coming.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of like co-op as well as just all-out bloodbath.
Nah, there's quite a few new ideas floating around at Myatt at the moment. Now, and they're trying to pinpoint it down and nail it a bit. But at the moment they're very busy because in Korea they're going into open beta.
Yes.
Yes, this week. No, so it has to wait a bit.
Thank you. I think it's good. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.